Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new moon in Gemini special astrology update. I am delighted to be here with you. I am Jocelyn Starfeather, founder of Sacred Planet. Welcome in, and please do go ahead and tell me in the YouTube chat your name and your location so I can welcome you in here. And I'm really excited to bring this to you today. You might hear it in my voice, I'm a little under the weather. Actually, I'm a little bit congested, but it was just so important to get on and tell you about this new moon in Gemini because it is a really powerful lunation for all of us. And so come on in, get comfy, start the Zoom recording as well for a backup recording. And yeah, go ahead and get comfy and settle in. And this will be a fairly quick update, but there are just some really important things to tell you about this new moon. It's very meaningful for all of us. It's a powerful new beginning. And so let me just begin by explaining about the energetics of new moons in general. So new moons are where the sun and moon come together, and you can see the sun and moon are together here at 6 degrees and 5 minutes of Gemini today. And this new moon will be exact on at 11:02 p.m. New York time, US Eastern time tonight. So this will be exact early in the morning in points east from here. So in Europe and the UK and Africa, etc. This will be early in the morning for you on May 27th. New moons are a time of new beginnings. They are a time to plant seeds, to set our intentions, to get really clear on what we want to create, and clarify our vision in our minds and put some words down, maybe do some journaling or some very clear intention setting around what we want to bring into our lives. Now, this is a fast energy to this new moon because it's in Gemini. Gemini is the sign that represents our communications, our technology, our mind, and Gemini likes to move fast. Gemini has lots of big ideas. Gemini is quite visionary. Gemini is one of these signs that can see into the future. And Gemini is really interested in learning, studying, making sure that we have all the facts, all the information before us so that we can make a good decision. But Gemini sometimes will leap and make a really fast decision, so we want to be aware of that. Gemini, because of all the information that it likes to gather, can sometimes be a little bit scattered, can sometimes have too many tabs open on the computer because of being so interested in all the different facets of information that are available. So we want to be aware at this new moon that as we're setting our intentions for our future, and I'm going to talk a lot more about being bold in setting our intentions for the future, because that's an energy here too. But as we're thinking about our intentions, as we're thinking about what we want to create in our lives and what seeds we want to plant at this new moon, we want to be sure that we're not scattered. We don't want to fall into that shadow side of the Gemini energy. So take a moment to really take a couple deep breaths and ground yourself to bring yourself back into your calm and collected center so that you can make really clear decisions and the highest decisions about what that future will be for you. So this new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini is conjunct with Mercury at 2 degrees of Gemini. So Mercury is in a very powerful position here because Mercury is in his sign of rulership, which is Gemini. So this is a strong Mercury. This is a time when our mind can be operating at its highest capacity at a very high frequency level. This is a time when our communications can be really clear. Mercury is also direct. We're not in Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is very clear. Mercury is really in his full capacity and full abilities in his sign of rulership in Gemini right now. So this is an amazing time to maybe plan or vision for how do you want to communicate with people going forward, or how do you want to communicate your mission or your message. Gemini is a sign that is very supportive of business and entrepreneurial endeavors. So if you want to start a new business or take a big leap forward in your business, this would be an amazing day to do so, or to set the plans for doing so. Mercury also helps us to connect with the higher mind of the universe, the universal consciousness. So with this new moon in Gemini conjunct Mercury, this could be a day when you receive transmissions from above, where you receive the sacred instructions about what you're meant to do next in your life, where you get really strong clarity about these things. So it's a good time, and you could do this today, May 26th, tomorrow, May 27th, even the next day, May 28th, will still be very much in the energies of this new moon. So maybe set aside some extra meditation time or some extra visioning or ceremonial time to open up the space to receive those transmissions from the higher mind of the universe and get the insights you need on what you're creating for your future. So something that is really important and powerful about this new moon is that it is in a trine to Pluto. So Pluto's at 3 degrees of Aquarius over here. That is in a trine position to the sun and moon and Mercury at 6 and 2 degrees of Gemini. And not only is this trine to Pluto important, bringing in an energy of what are we allowing to die, to close out, to really be done, finally done, right? The old patterns, the old wounds, the old traumas. What are we ready to just say, okay, we're really ready to be done and clear these out and close them out. And then what are we birthing new in their place? And we've done a lot of clearing already. So I would guess that most of you listening probably feel pretty weary with the clearing and letting go, pretty tired of it. I mean, we've been in a major period of releasing and letting go ever since 2020. And then even these past few months, as we've had a parade of planets moving through Pisces, that has now, in large part, as you can see here, mostly moved into Aries. That whole time that we were moving through February, March, April, even the first half of May of this year, was very strong Pisces energy, Pisces being the final sign of the zodiac. And we were being asked to release a lot, being asked to let go of the old structures, the old belief systems. So as Pluto is working with this new moon in a trine position, okay, that's a very favorable position. A trine is a 120-degree angle. It's a favorable harmonic position. So it means this energy of Pluto, which is about death and rebirth, is working favorably with the new moon. And so my sense about this is we have done the releasing. We have done the clearing. And we are feeling pretty complete with that. And we're ready to move on to the rebirthing. So put a note in the chat if that resonates for you. Are you done with the clearing? Have you done enough clearing already over the last 5 years, especially over the last few months? Are you ready to rebirth yourself? Are you ready to birth this new reality, this radical new world that we're creating together at this time? You know, we've seen so much of the old systems, the old structures. It's so clear what is not working in our world anymore. And I think we're done with it. I think we've actually already let it go. It takes some time maybe to see it fully leave on the physical 3D plane. But I think we're really done. I think we're moving on already. So with that, Pluto trine to the new moon, this is just such an incredible energy that adds a special power to our intentions when we keep in mind all that we have already released, all that we have let die, again, over the last 5 years, and then especially over the last few months. Think of what you've let go. Think of the old belief systems that have finally cleared out. Think of the old patterns, the old traumas that you've finally found the right way to heal and just move on. And some of it, like I mentioned earlier, is just a weariness. Like we're just done. We're just so done with what is old. So Pluto is helping us on that journey of saying, okay, so we're letting these things go fully. We've done the work. We're clear of them. We are clean, we are renewed, and we are being rebirthed now. So because of that Pluto influence, this is a major timeline shift into the new, a major timeline shift into the birthing energies, away from the death and into the birth. Another piece that's important to note here is that the sun and moon and Mercury are lighting up the early degrees of Gemini, which is where the planet Uranus is just about to move into. So Uranus, you can see here, is at 27 degrees of Taurus. Well, Uranus is going to be moving into Gemini on July 7th of this year. And Uranus will spend a little time going back and forth in the early degrees of Gemini, late degrees of Taurus for this year. And then starting next year, will be fully in Gemini for the next 7 years after that. So this is a major move. When Uranus moved into Taurus, it was May of 2018. So think of all the changes that have occurred in your life and in our world from May of 2018 until the time that Uranus moves into Gemini, which will be July 7th, 2025. Wow. I mean, our entire world has been completely transformed. So as Uranus moves into Gemini and is positioned at these early degrees of Gemini, Uranus and Pluto in the early degrees of Aquarius are going to be in one trine position after another. Uranus and Pluto are going to have multiple exact trines with one another from 2025 all the way through 2028. And these trines are marking a major paradigm shift in our world. These are also in connection. So the Uranus that will be in early degrees of Gemini, Pluto in the early degrees of Aquarius, will be connecting through sextiles with Neptune and Saturn in the early degrees of Aries. And so these are our 4 outer planets. We have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, the 4 outermost planets in trines and sextile positions to one another, as they are all just changing signs. Pluto has just moved into Aquarius. Saturn and Neptune have just moved into Aries. In fact, as of this new moon on May 26th, Saturn just moved into Aries yesterday, May 25th. That is a major shift. I'm going to say more about that soon too. And Uranus will move into Gemini July 2025. So all of these changes of the outer planets are indicating major collective social shifts in our world, changes to the systems and structures that make up our reality. Of course, we're all feeling this, right? This is a part of the dynamic that's already happening, that we're already feeling so strongly. But the fact that they will finally all be together in their new signs starting this year is really significant. This is the timeline shift, and this is the new birthing energy coming through for us on a collective level very strongly in a way we have not felt it before. This is another marker that we're moving out of the old and out of the releasing and the dying of the old that we've been in. That now that these 4 outer planets, which hold the energy of our collective, okay, the inner planets, especially Venus, Mercury, Mars, they hold more of the personal energies that we feel as individuals. But these outer planets, they hold the energy of our collective, our society, our civilizations, our governments, our social contracts, our collective belief systems. And so as all of those 4 outer planets are moving into their new signs this year, and around the same time, it's just incredible how this is moving us into the future. And that's why I'm saying that this new moon at 6 degrees of Gemini is really highlighting that future energy in a way that we have not felt before. It's activating these future timelines because it's highlighting these early degrees of Gemini, where Uranus is about to move to, that's in a trine to Pluto, and that's in a sextile to Saturn and Neptune. And that's really, really important, really significant for all of us. It's like we can finally birth this new future. We've been waiting such a long time. We've been seeing the demise of the old for so long. We've been seeing the falling away, the releasing, the dying of all that's no longer working. And so this is really opening up the portals for us to create the new. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the importance of chart points. And this is for you in your own astrological birth chart. If you have chart points in early Gemini, I would say between 0 to 5 degrees of Gemini, or early Libra, 0 to 5 degrees of Libra, or early Aquarius, 0 to 5 degrees of Aquarius. The early degrees of any of the air signs. These years, 2025 to 2028, will be especially significant for you as related to the planets or points that you have at 0 to 5 degrees of the air signs. So it is a really good time to get a reading if you haven't had an astrological chart reading before. I will put a link in the chat I will put a link in the description field below to where you can book that through Sacred Planet if you wish, or through any astrologer that you really trust. Or if you are already familiar with your chart, go ahead, pull out your birth chart, see what planets and points you have between 0 to 5 degrees of any of the air signs, because those are going to be getting a really strong activation, not only from this new moon, because if you do have something at 0 to 5 or even 6 degrees of Gemini, 0 to 5 degrees of Libra, 0 to 5 degrees of Aquarius, you're getting a trine or a conjunction from this new moon. But also from 2025 to 2028, those points will be involved in the Pluto-Uranus trines. And if your points are in Gemini or Aquarius, you'll be getting sextiles from Saturn at the early stages of those years and Neptune for a long time throughout 2025 to 2028 as well. Those points in your chart are being activated. So those points in your chart can hold important keys about the future that you're choosing, about what you're meant to create next and what you might want to be setting intentions around during this new moon time. I also want to say a little bit more about the movement of Saturn into Aries, because that just happened yesterday. So you can see here in this chart that Saturn right now at the new moon time is at 0 degrees 8 minutes of Aries and is moving very close to its eventual conjunction with Neptune. Neptune is here at 1 degree and 46 minutes of Aries. So Saturn and Neptune are going to do a dance where they will be very, very close together. They will get even closer than this. They will get well within 1 degree of each other at certain points throughout the rest of 2025. But they will do, each of them doing a forward movement and then a retrograde movement and then a forward movement again, until finally they will have their exact conjunction on February 20th, 2026. So we're building up to that exact conjunction, and Saturn moving into Aries just yesterday is a really significant shift because it's moving us toward the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and also because Saturn has been in Pisces for the last 3 years. So we're moving out of that Pisces 12th sign of the zodiac ending energy, and we're moving into Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, the future-oriented, the action-taking energy. And this is very important for us. So let's just talk a little bit about Saturn and Neptune and what it means that they're coming together in this way in the first degrees of Aries. So Saturn as a planet wants us to leave our legacy to the world. Saturn, as you may know, is considered a taskmaster. He asks us to work really hard. He asks us to show up fully, and he can definitely put obstacles in our path if we are shirking the work, if we are not doing our deep work in this lifetime, or if we're trying to avoid the path of our highest destiny. Saturn will throw obstacles at us. Now, Saturn is also about structure and form. He helps us to create the structures, to create the foundations in our lives so that we can do our greatest work, so that we can leave our highest contribution to the world. If we are not on the highest path, like I mentioned, Saturn will keep putting obstacles in our way until we get to that highest path. So if you're facing a lot of obstacles in your life at this time, Saturn is probably working with you. Here's an example of that, just to illustrate how Saturn works with us. So Saturn takes about 28 to 30 years to go the whole way around the zodiac. So every 28 to 30 years, we have our Saturn return, which is when Saturn comes back to the point that he was at when we were born. He comes back to where Saturn is in our birth chart. So we have these Saturn returns at regular intervals during our lifetime. The first one being when we're between 28 to 30 years old. The second one when we're between 58 to 60 years old. And the third one, if we're fortunate enough to live that long, being when we're between 88 to 90 years old. At each of these times, Saturn checks in with us. So if anybody listening is at your first or second or third Saturn return, write that in the comments. I want to know. I want to check in with you because Saturn is checking in with you right now. And let me know what's going on for you at this time. Our Saturn returns are usually a time of big changes in our lives. The reason why is, let me just give you the example of the first Saturn return. So at 28 to 30 years old, when we have our first Saturn return, usually we are more focused on the pursuits of our youth. You know, we might be working on our career. We might be working on maybe getting married and having a family, or maybe we're not to that point yet. We might be very social, going out a lot, doing the party scene. We're generally, we've been in our 20s, so we're in a little bit more of that fun stage and maybe not taking up the responsibilities of life that we know we will need to in the future. Well, Saturn wants us to claim our responsibilities, and Saturn wants to put us on our highest purpose path. So if we get to 28 to 30 years old and we begin to move into the time frame of our Saturn return, and we're not taking those responsibilities seriously, or maybe if we're working in a job, and this is what happened for me as an example, if we're working in a job that is not the truth of our soul, if we're working in a job that is really not connected to our true mission and purpose, Saturn is going to call us out on that. And what he does is he sees what our highest path is, right? So like if you're nearing 30 years old, let's say you're on a path where you're following a certain career. Again, this was certainly my story at that time. You're following a certain career. You're going off on this one path and you think it's the right way. Okay. Maybe you're climbing the corporate ladder. Maybe you're, doing really well financially in your career, or whatever that path is that you're on. You're following that path and you're like, okay, I think it's going well. But Saturn can see that there's this other path going off in a completely different direction that is actually your highest path, that is actually going to bring you the most fulfillment and joy in your life and abundance and all good things, and that is going to allow you to leave a very positive contribution to the world. Saturn will look at you going off on your path that you thought was the right one, and he will start putting obstacles in front of you. He will put an obstacle here, an obstacle there, an obstacle there, and you start hitting up against these obstacles. And it doesn't make any sense because you've been trying to do your best. You've been trying to do the right thing in your life. And you're wondering, why am I hitting this one obstacle after another? Well, this is Saturn coming in. He's not going to let you keep going down that first path because it was not truly right for you. So he's redirecting you. And that's what happens at our Saturn returns. We get redirected. We get obstacles placed in our way, frustrating things, insurmountable things that we need to take a creative approach. We need to take a different approach. We need to Think about it in a different way than we have before, so that we can find our way onto that other path that Saturn can see, that highest path that's going to lead us to joy and fulfillment and abundance and to leaving our greatest contribution to the world. So, if something like that is happening for you right now, if there's an insurmountable obstacle, this can be Saturn at work in your life. And I think we can certainly look at the world collectively right now and see that there are lots of things going on that seem like very insurmountable obstacles, that seem like unsolvable problems. And we want to keep in mind that because Saturn is moving into Aries, as Saturn is about to have a conjunction with Neptune, which I'll talk about more about Neptune in a minute here, Saturn is redirecting us. And again, these outer planets, especially because Saturn's working with Neptune, Saturn's in a sextile to Pluto, Saturn will soon be in a sextile with Uranus. All of these outer planets are working together. They are plotting to assist us on a very collective societal level. They are really going to help us birth something very new and different from what we've been experiencing in the world. So, how are those obstacles pointing us toward our new future? How are those obstacles in place? Saturn has put them there to stop us from continuing down that wrong path and to help us find and get onto the new path, the path we didn't even know was there, but Saturn in his wisdom is pointing us in that direction instead. So wherever you find insurmountable obstacles in your life or in the world, don't let it get you down. Don't let it make you depressed. Don't let it make you throw up your hands in frustration, but instead look at what is being shown to me here, what is being shown to all of us as a collective, so that we can find the new way forward. Okay, so this is not only about Saturn. No, that's the Saturn piece that's probably going on for many of us in many different ways in our lives and in the world. But we've got Neptune, and we're moving toward this very important and significant Saturn-Neptune conjunction that, as I said, will be exact February 20th, 2026, but we'll be building up to it, and they're very close together between now and then. So what about Neptune? What energy does Neptune bring into this? Neptune represents all the realms beyond this visible, physical, tangible realm that we tend to interact with on a daily level. Neptune represents all that we cannot see. And Neptune is very creative. So the same as Saturn wants us to offer our highest contribution to the world, Neptune wants us to create. And Neptune asks us to create with imagination, with vision, connecting with our dreams, connecting with that which we do not even yet know is possible. Neptune wants us to reach into the unseen and the shamanic and the multidimensional realms and reach beyond our perceived limitations. He really wants us to choose something beyond limitation, beyond restriction in how we are creating. He wants us to choose something from a new reality that we can't even see yet, but we know in our hearts that that new reality is right around the corner, already coming within our reach. Like we can almost touch that new reality. And I think we're really feeling this so strongly, again, in our individual lives, but also in the world in general. There's this new reality. We feel it. It's being birthed. It's being birthed through us. It's almost within reach. And Neptune asks us to reach toward that, but not only to know it's out there, but also to know it's within us and we are creating it together. Now, this requires a lot of trust and surrender because this is about what we cannot yet see. It requires us to listen to the quiet voice of our hearts and our intuition, but it is very real. So, as we bring both of these energies together, Saturn and Neptune, We can see that this is a time of huge change. This is a time when we are really being asked to choose what we're creating for the future. We want to choose in the Saturn way of searching for that highest path, searching for the work we're meant to do, searching for the highest contribution we're meant to make, and really setting our hearts to carry that out and to let it bring us joy and fulfillment and abundance in very concrete ways, because that's what Saturn does. Saturn is that structure. But also to create from the unseen, also to create from what we feel in our hearts, but we do not yet know how it's going to show up. And when we choose this incredible new future, that is the combination of Saturn and Neptune, we can build anything we wish. We are so powerful. We are creator beings. So we can create from those Neptunian realms of choosing that which we cannot see with trust and surrender. And then with Saturn, we can build it into reality. We can walk that path. We can do the work that is needed to really make it happen. So at this new moon in Gemini, this is, again, bringing it back to the new moon that's at 6 degrees of Gemini. This is such a powerful portal that we're in. This is such an important time. And this is why I wanted to jump on and do this YouTube live today, because we are at a moment where we can choose so powerfully. What do we want to put our energy toward? What are we creating for the future? What do we want to grow in the coming days, weeks, months, and years? What do we want to see expand and get bigger and put structure around? What do we want the form and function of our lives to be going forward that maybe is different from what it has been for the last 5 years? And we're being asked to build a new life. We're being asked to create a new life, each of us individually and all of us on the collective level. So how can we build that new life? With imagination, with vision, with trust, and in connection with the unseen aspects of reality. There's so much more that we know is available to us, even if we can't see it or touch it with our 5 normal senses. So I invite you to write that in the chat and write that in the comments today. What do you know about that future for you? What do you feel is just slightly beyond your fingertips? You can almost reach out and touch it, right? What is that for you? What do you see so far? What do you know so far about this incredible new future that we're moving into? Because the Saturn and Neptune conjunction is a complete world changer. It is the shifting of our belief system so that we can begin to see things we never saw before, understand things we could not comprehend before, and create from there. Right? So we know we've been in this deep breakdown and letting go process over the last 5 years. We're moving into the new time, the birthing time. So I really invite you all to set your intentions powerfully on this new moon in Gemini and know that we're just beginning to see the new. We're just beginning to see what we really can create and all the power that we really hold. So it's a very optimistic new moon. It's a very powerful day and series of days. Like I said, we'll be in the new moon energy all through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even into Thursday, very much in the new moon energies. So make space in your life to bring this vision through. Make space in your life to have the extended meditation time, the retreat time, the ceremonial time, whatever you need, whatever works best for you, to really let that vision emerge, to receive the transmissions from the higher mind of the universe, and make this real in your own life. Set those intentions, plant those seeds, and know that you're doing it not only for yourself, but for all of us in this beautiful, powerful collective of Mother Earth that we are sharing together. So much love to all of you. I'll see you again soon, and I wish you the most beautiful and magical and inspiring new moon in Gemini. Bye for now, everybody.